Starter paint sets have always been a thing in the hobby. Some people love them, some people think it's better to just buy the paints you need as you need them. But I think starter sets have their place as long as what's in them is useful for beginners, as well as building a foundation of a range you can expand upon. Now, Games Workshop sells its own starter paint set, and while there are some great paints in there, I do question some of the choices. So today on the Hobby Grotto, I'm going to show you my version of a Games Workshop starter paint set. Let's get the mandatory black and white out of the way first. I've got Abaddon Black here and White Scar. And these two paints are going to form the backbone of your hobbying. Abaddon Black is a great paint, you really can't go wrong. And I know some of the GW whites can be a bit dodgy, but White Scar is a pure white, and that's what you need here. Moving on. Next up are your three primary colors plus green, so really your four main colors. And I've chosen what I think are the most general example of these colors from the range for maximum flexibility. Mephiston Red, Warpstone Glow, Calidor Sky, and Uriel Yellow are colors I'm constantly using, and that's the key to starter set paints. Broad colors that are easily identifiable and sit slap bang in the middle of the range of the individual colors, so you can go either way with highlighting and shading. You can also be mixing all kinds of other paints with these four colors to adjust them. They're just incredibly useful paints. Speaking of highlighting and shading, to complement our four main colors, we have a darker version of each. Now, firstly, these are all awesome paints in their own right that play a part in many color schemes, and due to the nature of miniature painting, we often want a darker tone for our four main colors, usually for things like base coating, because working up from a black or darker undercoat is just so common. These four darker paints essentially form a triad with the previous paints, so you've got your base, your mid-tone, and then you can mix a little bit of white with your mid-tone for some edge highlighting, or you can go the other way, mixing some brown or black with these colors for a darker scheme. It's more important in a starter set to have these darker colors and mid-tones because they're what you're going to be using most on the Mini when painting in a classic layering fashion, and therefore need to be consistent across multiple models and maybe even armies. The differences in tone of highlights you're mixing will be far less noticeable. So there you have your three primary colors plus green represented across these 8 paints that can cover most situations. Next up we have our utility colors, starting with a dark brown and a light brown, and it's again really important to have a dark and light shade here because these paints are used for so many things, not just details on minis like fur or wood or pouches, but also as bases for other colors. With Rhinox Hide and XV88, you can have all your needs covered, and you can mix these with other colors to create even more browns if you need it. I still pretty much only use these two paints for everything I need brown-wise. Honestly, they're great. People often overlook grey, but it's a color you're going to be using a lot, and you don't even know it, so you don't want to be mixing it all the time with black and white. Dawnstone sits right in the middle of both ends of the spectrum, and therefore is the most useful grey to have when starting out. Being grey, of course, it mixes incredibly well with black and white for all kinds of shading and highlighting, so you don't need a bunch of greys honestly, you get them more for ease down the line. Ushabti Bone is just another really important utility paint that you'll find you use a lot and is integral to a starter set. It's also a key to painting white, as pure white is not something you will actually use much outside of mixing and highlighting. You'll really be surprised at how many applications a bone colour has, and great for mixing too, as it desaturates colours less than pure white. The final utility paint here is a generic flesh tone, which is a really important thing to have and is another colour that's annoying to try and create yourself from mixing, so it's mandatory in a starter set in my opinion. You can also add this to other colours to create different kinds of flesh tones, with more dark browns or pinkish and paler tones for example. Flesh paints are also notoriously thick paints, so it's really important to always remember to thin them down properly. To round out the starter set, we're going to need some metallics. Painting things true metallic metal is a simple solution that looks great on three-dimensional miniatures, and you can pretty much accomplish everything you need to with just silver and gold by mixing them together in various ways. The majority of minis you paint are going to have some form of metallics on them. Don't forget to check out my tutorials on various metallic colours for some more ideas. It also pays to have a very bright silver, which you can use to highlight gold or silver just as easily depending on the scenario. Something else I like to do is mix brown or black with metallics to create some lovely dark colours that maintain their glimmer. Metallics are very versatile paints once you start experimenting. In the final spots, I have 2 washes because I think the one you favour will depend on the style you want for the miniature, and there are no better than Nuln Oil and Agrax Earthshade, GW's 2 best washes hands down. You'll have all your washer needs covered with these 2, and I think in a starter set it's important to have the choice between these 2 cornerstones of the painting experience. That way you can decide for yourself which is better. Also, every starter set should of course include a good solid general brush like a medium layer brush. I really like these a lot actually, and use them even now in my regular painting. With this range of Citadel paints, I think you can get a really solid start into painting, and for the more experienced painters out there, these are all excellent paints that I'm constantly using all the time. Now you may notice I didn't include any tools in here that are sometimes pre-packaged in a paint starter set. While that stuff's very handy, I think it's probably better served in its own hobby starter kit, and maybe I'll cover that in a future video. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of my selection, or if you have any questions about any of the paints I mentioned in the video. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Hobby Grotto.